Hi, this is a training video from Osprey Consulting, and today we're talking about ONESOURCE Statutory Reporting, or OSR. What we're going to do today is look at how you can supplement an existing template by adding data to a data capture table, leverage an existing reporting table within a template to add that data. And then we're going to look at how you add an additional calculation row in order to identify any scenarios where your table doesn't add up to the same as your trial balance. Here is our template, and we're going to be looking today at our turnover table. What we want to do is identify or provide more detail on the sale of goods. So we're going to navigate to our non-import custom disclosures, note 1, section 1, where you'll see we have some existing tables, and we're going to leverage today the standard table, where we're going to add 3 rows and assign them to section 1. Just to give an example of a simple table, we've got our existing information within an Excel spreadsheet, so we're going to copy our 3 descriptions and add our current and prior year data, just to give us something to work with. And with a pre-existing table, it's as easy as that. So let's click Save and return to our report. So we're back at our turnover. Let's take a look at where ONESOURCE puts these reports. If we go right to the end in the non-imports disclosure section, we'll see some hidden tables. We're going to look at the standard table P&L, which, as you can see, gives us exactly what we're looking for, a nice breakdown. So let's cut that and go back to our turnover table. And we're going to paste that after the folder turnover. So you'll see when we refresh our report, we'll now have that new table straight after our table 3 turnover table. But what happens if we want to have that as a separate note? Well, that's nice and straightforward. Let's go back to turnover, and we're going to add a report element, and we're going to choose a basic element, folder including note number and heading. So let's add that to the system. And once we have that, we're going to cut our existing table and paste inside our folder. And that will create our new turnover detail within a new note number 4. There we go. Of course, we're going to want to rename that. So let's go to options and we'll rename that turnover analysis. And by changing the name here in the options, that will automatically update the note 4 header to turnover analysis. We don't need that paragraph header, so let's just remove that expression. And we'll also update the paragraph body to say something meaningful to give the user an understanding of the analysis we're providing. Perfect. So let's now look at how we can add that reconciliation just as a good audit trail or double check that things tie together. First of all, we're going to add ourselves a new section. We're going to call that section B. We have an analysis of sale of good from the data capture, but what we're going to do now is bring in the relevant category, which is an aggregation of trial balance codes. We're going to bring in category P11, which is sale of goods sitting within the revenue area. We are going to set that so that that doesn't display because this is just for calculation purposes. We don't want this to be displayed to a user of the accounts. So that's now grayed out. And now we're going to add a calculation row, leveraging both sets of data. So our calculation row we'll rename and we'll call it out of balance. Of course, we want the narrative to display out of balance, but when things are in balance, this is not going to display at all. And our row expression should be section A, which is our detail breakdown, plus section B being that tie to P11. And it's a plus because OneSource automatically creates it as a negative. And we've set it as non-zero there because we don't want it to display when it's 0. It should only appear when we have that reconciliation error. And using standard OneSource practice, we'll make that red so it's nice and identifiable. So if we refresh now, you'll note there is no additional rows. It looks exactly as it did before because things do tie together. Note 4 still ties to the note 3 above. So let's trigger that error. Let's go back to our non-import custom disclosures. And let's just remove that 26 million just to create that difference. Great. And if we take ourselves back to reporting, you'll see there's no error because we haven't refreshed. We'll refresh. And you can see we've now got that red error really clearly giving us the knowledge that our tables don't tie. Hopefully that was helpful. If you've got any questions or want to speak to us, please do contact us at contact@ospreyconsulting.co.uk. Thank you.